Hare Krishna. Now, a summary of Sri Gaura Govinda Asatakaliya Lila. General invocation from the Krishna Lila Smarana Mangala. Divine Sri Radhika's beloved friend, nor Ka, Isha, nor Shesha comprehend, but those to loving service who adhere of that love which in Braja does inhere, in emulation of conduct refined of Braja's people practiced in the mind, ensuing the exploits of nights and days, attains the perfect state. I therefore praise his most wonderful deeds of pure delight, from dawn of early day to end of night. General summary. May Krishna protect you and quell your fears, who at night's end to his dwelling repairs, who milks the cows at early dawn and goes with his friends and the cows to the meadows, who has a grand breakfast in the morning, at day's end more feasting and banqueting, with Radhika throughout the middle day, and all the night enjoys his amorous play. During the afternoon and evening time grants his friends and the people joy sublime. General summary of Navadvip Lila from Dhyanachandra's Padati. The acts of Navadvipa's moon divine are fraught with high astonishment sublime. Meditate on those acts o'er and again within the mind, eager service to gain. When night has passed and drawn unto a close, he rests upon a bed in sweet repose. At early dawn he rises from his bed, is bathed, adorned, and with fine dainties fed. During the mid-morning the town he roams, and delighted visits devotees' homes. At midday his wondrous exploits displays, and in the holy Ganga's stream he plays. Then in the afternoon with his friends, dear friends, throughout the town of Navadvip he wends. In the evening to his own dwelling goes, and his divine and lustrous beauty shows. In the late evening with his comrades dear to Srivas Pandit's dwelling doth repair, where they perform the Sankirtan all night, thus contemplate these exploits with delight. Navadvip Nishanta Lila, 03:36 to 6 a.m. In Navadvip, when night draws to a close, the servants of the Lord from slumber rose. Some fresh lotuses into garlands twine, and some prepare fresh unguents divine. Some fragrant oils in golden vessels keep, and some the bowers diligently sweep. Some polished articles of worship bring, when suddenly the birds begin to sing. The greedy bees from flowers nectar take, and pollen from the ravished petals shake. When the sweet warbling of the birds was heard, Gauranga was with high emotion stirred, and roused by profound sentiments of love, recalled Radha and Krishna in the grove. Then sainted Srivas and his brethren high, ensued by Lord Adwaita and Nitai, to where the devotees each other meet, and with embrace and salutation greet. Then all together hasten to the place where creeping vines the wishing trees embrace, and mount the terrace shaded by a tree, that they might through the lattice window see. The Lord Gaura, recumbent on his bed, with soft and milky fine white sheets o'erspread, his golden limbs reclining on white silk, seems a gold lily on a pond of milk. Meantime Mukunda, with his dulcet voice, whereat the devotees' pure hearts rejoice, sings how Govinda and Radhika fair at night's end to their several homes repair. Vrindavan, Nishanta Lila. Before night's end, within the leafy bowers, the soft breeze shakes the pollen from the flowers. The parrot couples, perched upon the trees, are roused from slumber by the humming bees. The sylvan goddess Vrinda then arose, and ventured forth to rouse from sweet repose the prince of cowherds and his consort fair, Radhika, whose abundant curly hair lay scattered and entangled in the snares of earrings fastened to Govinda's ears. The servant maids, now roused to busy care, compose their garments and bind up their hair. This damsel brings a shiny peacock fan, another a gem-studded watering can. Some cull sweet flowers, others sweep the ground, and tinkling anklets and bracelets resound. A learned parrot flaps his gaudy wings, and in heroic couplets proudly sings. His name Vichakshan, eloquent and wise, and like a minstrel urged Krishna to rise. Hail to the Prince of Braja, Nanda's pride, the cowherd people's friend. Hail, lotus-eyed! Mark how the dawn spreads out across the east, and gem-like stars their lustre have decreased. The greedy bees the night lilies forsake, and to sweet jessamine their way betake. Before the people on the pathways roam, you should, methinks, return to your own home. A female parrot then, with bristling wings, to waken Radha ecstatically sings. Hail to the lovely Empress of the Grove! Hail to the object of Govinda's love, who, like a golden swan, for ever strays, and on the lake of Mukunda's mind plays. O foremost of accomplished damosels, the light of morn the dark of night dispels. Your dear companions, tremulous with love, foregather in the courtyard of the grove. While now you rest your head on Hari's arm, lest ancient Jatila raise the alarm, it is imperative, O my sweet friend, you rise, depart, and to your chambers wend. While in Hari's embrace Radhika lies, she slowly opens her bright rolling eyes, and thus she viewed the dawn with slight regard, and wished she might the hastening day retard. Hari by Cupid's darts had been transfixed, and now his blue with her gold lustre mixed, and as a creeper with tendrils doth entwine a stately tree, the lovers still recline. They waken soon, and after some delay go home to rest before the morning's ray. Navadvip. Meantime in Navadvip Mukunda ends his song. Then Sachi's son with all his friends repairs to his own chamber with delight, before Surya had spread his beams of light. Navadvip Pratah Lila, 6 a.m. to 8:24. Now Bhaskara, heralded by the dawn, his golden car by panting horses drawn, the stars extinguished, all their lustre spent, and spreads his light across the Orient. The Holy Mother Sachi rose from bed, her morning duties in due order sped. Then to Gauranga's bedchamber she went, while to their divers tasks the maids were sent. Impelled by deep maternal affection, she called aloud to waken her dear son. O darling Nimai of the lotus eyes, 'tis getting late, now you must needs arise. Your friends and servants in the courtyard stay. Awake, arise, now bathe and eat and play. Adore with flower wreaths and scents divine the mighty Lord Narayan in his shrine. As oft times bees are trapped when flowers close their petals, and again when they disclose, the bee escapes and to other blossoms flies, so slowly opened Nimai's rolling eyes. Then sitting up and yawning as he speaks, his mother Sachi strokes his comely cheeks. He stretches out his limbs and shakes his curls, and as he yawns his teeth glisten like pearls. Then bows in humble salutation meet before his revered mother's holy feet. Then by her leave he ventures forth to go where his friends wait beneath a portico, and meeting there they hasten on the path to Ganga's bank to take their morning bath. Then, having bathed and clad in raiment fair, eagerly they to the lecture hall repair, where pious Gadadhar deigns to recite the holy Bhagavat with vast delight. He tells of Krishna's deeds of days gone by, laid clear, eloquently before the eye. And as Gaura the recitation hears, his glistening cheeks are drenched with flowing tears. Vrindavan. When Aruna had brightened o'er the east, Krishna arose and took a light repast, and hastened forth as daily task demands, to milk the cows with his own lotus hands. Each day at early dawn the pens resound with lowing kine who make a hamba sound, and he who like a fresh rain cloud appears in festive mirth to milk the cows prepares. And as the shady path he strolls along, his golden anklets warble a sweet song. His brow is with a gem ornament bright, and with a belt of bells his waist is dight. Around his head a turban of bright silk, as he prepares his favourite cows to milk. Meantime fair Radha with her maids and friends first bathes, and then to Nandagram she wends, where she with Rohini the labours share, Govinda's lavish breakfast to prepare. What time Radha Yashoda came to greet, she prostrated herself to touch her feet. Yashoda placed her hand on Radha's head, and raised her up by love disquieted, and from her head breathed in the fragrance rare, emitted from her sable glossy hair. And with affection, when she had observed how Radha was with modesty reserved, and how Radha hung down her moon-like face, she took her in her arms with fond embrace. Yashoda, the fond mother with a call, bade Krishna come into the dining hall, invited his companions to the treat, and urged her son repeatedly to eat. Come now, O Damodar, it is the time to join with your friends in the hall to dine. The mountain wielder on Nanda's behest with Baladev sat down for his repast. In ordered lines the boys all take their seat, and all the company laugh, drink, and eat. Many varieties of fourfold food, that which is sucked or licked or drunk or chewed, shukta and shak, and divers vegetables, nalita and other comestibles, kushmanda pie, dalna and sweet dadhi, and mocha kanda, and dugda tumbi, mugda bora and masa bora fries, with odorous and ghee besprinkled rice, evaporated milk and shashkuli, rice pudding and sweet amrita keli, with camphor, clotted cream and rasala, pishtaka curds, puli and payasa, and 12 varieties of sweet and sour, pickles and chutneys of finest savour. Then luchi, sugar and cream puff puris, and laddu sweets, of all varieties. Krishna with love enjoys the fine viands and all confections made by Radha's hands. Pointing his finger, Madhumangal cheats the other boys and gobbles down their sweets. He slaps his hands and drains another bowl of sweet daddy, exclaiming, Hari Bol! Radha observes Govinda take his meal, and both with secret joy fond glances steal. After the meal Govinda takes and sips some scented water and rinses his lips, and cleanses his soft hands with powder fine. The other boys, all standing in a line, their hands and mouths with fragrant water rinse. Thereafter Govinda, Vrindavan's prince, 100 paces with his merry friends, to rest awhile in his own chamber wends. There wide-eyed Vishalaksha with a fan of peacock plumes to drive a breeze began, while other dear companions standing by white yak-tail whisks in circling motions ply. One rubs his feet, his vigour to renew, another gives a betel wrap to chew. Meantime Dhanishta, upon the behest of Yashoda, made eager her request to Radha and her friends to take their seat, and without hesitation drink and eat. Dhanishta brought in dainties of all sorts, secretly mixed with Sri Govinda's orts. Navadvip. After the master gains external sense, all praise the reader for his eloquence. Then Sachi Ma sends Ishandas to call Nimai to come into the dining hall. And when all his dear friends were seated there, they all partook a feast of dainty fare, of golden rice and leafy vegetables, and endless kinds of fine comestibles. Adore the lover of each devotee, the magnanimous Lord Gaura Hari, who is the self-same playful cowherd boy who filled Nanda and Yasoda with joy. Thus ends Pratah Lila. Navadvip Purvahna Lila. Gauranga with his friends the pathways roam, when to a pellucid clear lake they come. Wide-petalled lotuses of red and blue, and blooming lilies of a golden hue, sway gently in the fragrant cooling breeze, which thus disrupts the labour of the bees. The devotees all gather in a ring, and then Swarup begins to sweetly sing. How Krishna and the cowherd boys all lead the cows to forest pastures there to feed. How Radhika the articles prepares for sun worship, while down the path she stares. With anxious care and ever brooding doubts, she waits for news of Krishna's whereabouts. As Gaura's mind becomes immersed and steeps in Radha's love, he laughs, trembles, and weeps. Vrindavan Purvahna Lila. Now radiant Ravi mounts his car on high to mid-morning and brightens all the sky. Rama and Krishna with their merry friends and countless cows to forest pastures wends. Bedecked with flower wreaths and gunja beads, his dear companions sing his hallowed deeds. Madhumangal cracks many witty jokes, which mirth and laughter in the boys provokes. And now they sing in concert with the bees, now with the monkeys climb the leafy trees. Mukunda his dear friend's joy doth enhance by mimicking the plumy peacock's dance. And now he calls the name of straying kine, anon when tired of play he doth recline his head upon the lap of a dear friend. Sometimes in bouts of wrestling they contend. Some sing his praises in sweet melodies, some palm fans ply to drive a cooling breeze. Some, blessed with heaps of merit, do engage his tender feet most gently to massage. Then they proceed to the cool and shady brink of Flower Lake to let the cattle drink. Meantime the beauteous Empress of the Grove essayed to venture forth, impelled by love, with her companions, under the pretence of worshipping the sun with flowers and scents, and having the old Jatila deceived, permission to go with her friends received, to gather from the fragrant leafy bowers in reed baskets crimson hibiscus flowers. Meantime Krishna slips off with one or two dear comrades to enjoy the pleasant view. Eventually the couple make their way to Radha Kunda and there spend all the day. Navadvip Madhyahna Lila. Meantime in Navadvip, Gaura Hari floats on the waves of divine ecstasy, with clashing cymbals and the clay drums roll, and frequently exclaiming Hari Bol. Mukunda, Murari and Vakreshwar, handsome Ramai and Sri Chandrasekhar, Srivas and Haridas and many more, or sing or weep or roll upon the floor. In Braja's love they were deeply entranced, with arms upraised, ecstatically danced. They sang how Radha with her faithful friends toward the Sankit trysting bower wends. Then Gaura o'er his head a veil doth throw, and says, "Come, friend, O let us quickly go." Vrindavan Madhyahna Lila. Now tyrant Cupid rules with sovereign sway, and guides the sports and games of middle day. Adorned with peacock plumes and flower wreaths, into his bamboo flute Govinda breathes. And when the cowherd dames that music heard, their minds were by the ruthless Cupid stirred. The unbodied archer Cupid took his aim, and kindled in their hearts the amorous flame. Now when Radhika Govinda beheld, she came in eager haste, by love impelled. Krishna, Krishna, a Vaijayanti garland wears, and Karnikara blossoms o'er his ears. His yellow garment shines like burnished gold. He looks the foremost actor, brave and bold. Then Hari, to conceal his conscious pride, the cowherd damoiselles strictly denied permission to pick flowers in his grove. Then they his arrogance sharply reprove. Achyuta was bewildered when he saw the beautiful Radha, and stunned with awe. He stood confounded, dumbfounded, and mute, and from his hand let fall his bamboo flute. Thereafter on a flower-bedecked swing the lovers sit, while round them in a ring their dear companions heave with vigorous pace, that Radha and Govinda must embrace. Thereafter, as they from the swing alight, they wander through the forest with delight, where all 6 seasons of the circling year in all their gay apparel do appear. They play within the waters of the lake, thereafter of fine fruits and sweets partake. Then rest they in a fragrant jasmine bower, where Cupid shows his ineffable power. Adore Govinda Madhava Hari, who held up the mountain, Giridhari. In fragrant bowers by the Kunda's shore, the loving couple Kishori Kishore partake a feast of varied fruits and treats, esculent roots and finely made sweetmeats. Now, when the joyous water games were o'er, they mount the bank of Radha Kunda's shore, and having bathed and dressed in raiment fine, Govinda prepares with his friends to dine. Meantime Radha was bathed and dressed with care, then ventured forth the luncheon to prepare. There were the 4 varieties of food, that which is sucked or licked or drunk or chewed. On golden platters the fine viands keeps, with divers cates and fragrant rice in heaps. There was plain rice, fried rice, and rice pudding, and redolent clear water for drinking. Varieties of fruits on golden trays were washed and peeled and cut in diverse ways. Then in the lotus temple they prepare to spread out soft seats with officious care, and having thus arranged the seats at last, call Krishna and his friends for their repast. Sri Radhika with her auspicious hands, immersed in joy, serves up the fine viands. Lalita to Radhika's hand supplies the dishes, while with glances from her eyes she looks on Shyama's beautiful bright face, and does his favourite cates before him place. What merriment and laughter did prevail when Sri Hari partook his midday meal! Thus, having dined, Govinda with his friends with water rinse their mouths and wash their hands. Then Krishna sits upon a lion chair, and chewing betel wraps rested him there. Thereafter Radha with her friends partake their meal, and Shyama's divine remnant take, mixed with the nectar which his soft lips bear, which filled her with delight beyond compare. They rinse their mouths, chew pan, then Radha goes to rest beside Shyama in sweet repose. Thus when the sweet refection was complete, the serving maids began to rub their feet. Now Goddess Brinda rouses them ere long. They listen to the parrot's charming song. The parrot said, "My Krishna doth beguile even Cupid with his delightsome smile." "That's true indeed," the Sari then replied, "only when he hath Radha by his side." The parrot then, pride swelling in his breast, the female parrot Sari then addressed, "My Krishna held aloft a mighty hill." The Sari said, "Well, that's also true, but still it was the power of my Radha's love that gave him confidence his strength to prove." With joyful bristling wings the parrot thus, "My Krishna is most magnanimous." The Sari then, with tears of ecstasy, "My Radha is his wish-fulfilling tree." The parrot then, elate with conscious pride, with all the force of eloquence replied, "My Krishna is the universal Lord." The Sari said, "My Radha is adored by that same Krishna, what more need I say?" And having said so, joyful flew away. Then Lalita, the clever Sari, feeds with sweet and juicy pomegranate seeds. After a brief rest, the lovers awake, their seat within a shady grove they take, and set the pieces for the dice board game, known as the Pasha Keli sport by name. They fix the wager as a pearl necklace, a flower garland, kiss, or an embrace. With laughter and insinuating jokes, the competitors' rivalry provokes. When Radha wins, Krishna with cunning wit his obvious defeat will not admit. "I am the victor," he loudly proclaims, "now give to me the prize the victor gains." Then shamelessly, without any remorse, he tries to take her pearl necklace by force, and when he did the wagered kiss demand, she struck him with the lotus in her hand. In feigned humility and lowered head, then to Radha his best beloved said, "I have in truth been defeated by you. Now take the embrace and kiss that are due." Then her contracted brow showed such annoy, the which afforded him the supreme joy. Navadvip Aparahna Lila. Meantime, in Srivas Pandit's garden grove, the devotees are overwhelmed with love. With high-pitched flutes and reeds and rolling drums, in grand procession Gaura Hari comes. Along the wide-wayed paths and alleyways, dancing and singing Krishna's spotless praise. The townspeople all hasten to the place, men, women, young and old, to see his face. He greets the elders with obeisance meet, and bows his head at Mother Sachi's feet. Thereafter with his friends he mounts the stairs, and to the rooftop moon chamber repairs. They sing how Krishna of the lotus eyes in the late afternoon to Braja hies. Vrindavan Aparahna Lila. Still, after playing dice they must return to Braja and in separation burn. While Rai completes her worship of the sun, back to his cowherd friends Krishna must run. They welcomed him whom they had sorely missed, but now their melancholy was dismissed. They make their way back home with all the kine, while rangers of the sky with hymns divine sing praises of the wondrous cowherd child, Govinda, Gopal, merciful and mild. Thus Mukunda, who wears a peacock crown, in the late afternoon entered the town. On his approach the cowherd damsels hie to gaze on him to a high balcony. The clouds of dust, upraised by lowing kine, cover his bee-like locks with powder fine. His face seems like a bright lotus flower, with fragrant pollen dust all sprinkled o'er. A peacock's plumage on his head he bears, over his ample chest a garland wears, upon his flute he plays sweet melodies, while smiling from the corners of his eyes. Surrounded by companions who prolong the glory of his deeds in charming song, the cowherd dames their bee eyes on him place, and drink the nectar of his lotus face, which pain of separation did assuage. A moment's absence from him seemed an age. With bashful glances and gestures of love to conceal the signs of passion they strove, yet marking how they were with love elate, their fond glances he did reciprocate. Now, when Rohini and Yasoda came to greet their darling boys back home again, they fondled them and served their every need, and blessed them, and with rarest dainties feed. Then bathed, adorned, and clad in raiment fine, the brothers twain upon soft beds recline. Meantime fair Radha to her duty tends, and pensive, ever brooding, homeward wends. And thereafter she hastens to prepare varieties of confections with care, which by the hand of her dear maid was sent to Nanda's pious wife with compliment. Inserted here is Sri Keshavastakam of Sri Rupa Goswami. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair. Fresh blooms of Priyaka adorn his ears, a crown of budding jessamine he wears, and o'er his shoulder baldric-wise is flung a wreath of flowers negligently hung. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair. With joy the names of cows he loudly cries, O tawny, O gem-uddered, O pink eyes, O swan-like, O flute-fond, O dappled one, O drumhead, crookhorn, O smoky skin, come. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair, who, as he on the homeward pathway wends, holds witty discourse with his merry friends, while they deep love and eloquence display, are all dressed in party-coloured garments gay. He, the best of foremost of the cowherds, induces them to laugh with his sweet words. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair, whose handsome cheeks with tiny sweat drops glow, whose limbs designs of mountain pigments show. In rolling waves, descending from his crown, like swarming bees, his glossy curls hang down. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair. Breathing sweet strains into his flute, he calls the herds back to the cow-pens and the stalls. The eager kine no longer wish to graze, they break the earth and clouds of dust upraise. and anxious for their newborn suckling calves, they trample the soft ground with prancing hooves. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair, whose unique footprints on the paths around affords an added lustre to the ground. The dust cloud raised up by the restless kine cover his flower wreath with powder fine, and as the wavy breeze around him plays, his garment flutters and his headdress sways. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair, who plays his bamboo flute with vast delight, which the minds of the cowherd dames excite. Filled with ecstatic bliss and fond surprise, the downy hairs upon their bodies rise. And when the cowherd queen that sweet sound heard, with eager joy her mind and heart was stirred. Adore Keshava of the curling hair, who from the woods to Braja doth repair, on whose approach the cowherd damsels go up to the balcony and portico. Thence thousands of love's gestures they display, and with their glances fond welcome convey. But as he gazes up at them, he sees their flower bud like breasts. His eyes like bees are drawn by eager longing and delight, and on their bud like breasts his gazes light. Whoever doth with devout attention reads these 8 stanzas that tell of Hari's deeds, which all the cowherd damosels delight, may Vishaka's dear friend their faith requite, and unto them unflinching love impart, and place his lotus feet within their heart. Navadvip, Sayahna Lila. Meantime in Navadvip, with all his friends, Gauranga from the moon tower descends, whereon he doth his ecstasy conceal, and having bathed, partakes his evening meal. Thereafter, joining with his devotees, they make their way beneath the blooming trees. When they arrive at Ganga's shelving shore, the holy stream with scents and flowers adore. Upon a lion throne Gauranga sits, where evening jasmine sweet odour emits. To right Nitai, to left Gadadhar stands, Advaita stands before with folded hands. The scholar Srivas, overwhelmed with love, holds up a shady canopy above. Some drive a pleasant breeze with fans, or ply chamaras in circling motions standing nigh. Gauranga casts around his loving glance, whereat the devotees begin to dance. Narad and Shiva and the four-faced god confirm the joy with their approving nod. The sound of conches, cymbals, drums and bells all inauspiciousness at once dispels. Tatoi, 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 the clay drums roll, the universe re-echoes, Hari Bol. Then to a flower cottage they repair, where divine fragrances surcharge the air, and Damodar Swarup begins to sing the pastimes of Braja in the evening. Vrindavan Sayahna Lila. When Ravi, wearied, sinks into the west, fair Radha, in an azure garment dressed, enters the kitchen with her serving maid, and cooks some dainty cates to be conveyed to Nandagram, where Krishna and his friends, back from the milking parlour, joyous wends. Hari is dressed in robes of yellow hue, and holding Rama's hand, in order due, meets Nanda and the cow and the household retinue. When Govinda appears like the moonrise, then bloom the Braja people's lily eyes. The balmy moonbeams of his smiles inspire their limbs like melting moongems to perspire. When Krishna and his friends had ate their fill, the bards and panegyrists showed their skill. The maid again returns to Radha's house to bring the orts and tidings of her spouse. Navadvip Pradosha Lila. After a brief rest, Lord Gauranga Rai awakens suddenly with a loud cry, remembering how Radhika the fair spends the late evening steeped in anxious care. Then, having risen, Sachi's noble son sits on the veranda outside his room, where Nitai, Advaita, with love elate, and all the devotees eagerly wait to serve the mighty master's lotus feet with flower offerings and incense sweet. Then Swarup Damodar, having divined the certain mood of Gaurahari's mind, begins to recount in exquisite verse how Radha with her friends the paths traverse toward the trysting bower bathed in light of the full moon in rapture of delight. Vrindavan Pradosha Lila. When night arrives, Radhika, beauty's queen, who radiates a golden pearly sheen, is dressed according to the lunar phase, whether he shows or covers up his face, and hastens to the assignation place. There goddess Brinda, by a message sent, gave sure signs of Govinda's firm intent, that he would wait beneath a certain tree near Yamuna, hight Govindasthali. When Radha had the means to go contrived, soon at the assignation place arrived. Meantime Krishna was in the dining hall. His mother sent a servant boy to call Govinda to his bedchamber, and there urged him to rest with a fond mother's care. But when she left the room, Krishna arose, and by a postern gate, lest he expose his night-time exploits to the public view, went forth alone without his retinue. Navadvip Nisha Lila. Now in Srivas's courtyard was begun the nocturnal, eternal Sankirtan, where Sri Krishna Chaitanya in the fair moonlight with his companions dances with delight. Fresh jasmine buds and shiny strands of pearls bind up Gauranga's luxuriant curls. A flower wreath invaded by black bees hangs from his charming neck down to his knees, while he sang loudly Hari's holy name, signifying his immaculate fame. He raised one hand aloft, the other placed upon his hip, and round the courtyard paced. In raptures of delight and ecstasy, all sing, O Rama, O Krishna Hari. Some weep, some laugh, some ecstatically roar, some leap, some fall and roll upon the floor. The sound of anklets fastened on their feet with chiming tinkling holds the rhythmic beat, and having in this way their joy expressed, they retire to a jasmine grove to rest. Then Damodar, whose comprehensive view the thoughts within Gaura Hari's mind knew, and 'gan to sing of Radha Krishna's love, and secret play enacted in the grove, whereon Gauranga is immersed in trance in recollection of the Rasa dance. Vrindavan Nisha Lila. The shuddered full moon and the breeze intoxicates the greedy bees, surcharging all with sweetest scent of Mallika Madhavi blent. Beholding such a beauteous night, when sheds the moon his balmy light, hearing the delectable strains from the flute robs the minds of dames. The cowherd girls that music heard, their hearts with love longing were stirred. Unseen they take their eager way, the flute made them eager for play. Forgetful of themselves they fly, with collyrium in one eye. Another in her haste to meet had but one anklet on her feet. Another in her wild career had but one earring on her ear. As they pursue the path in haste, the belts loosen around their waist, their garments slacken as they go, their unbound hair swings to and fro. And though they could not see the way, they could not brook the slight delay, and thus with paces swift and fleet, with Gokul's bright moon they meet. The shining moon and fragrant jessamine surcharge the atmosphere with love divine. Radha and her companions pensive wait, and sit expectant at the bower gate. When Govinda upon the scene arrives, To bring them to foregather, Vrinda strives, and after worshipping with honour due, this one of fair complexion, that one blue, they wander through the groves and alleyways, while their companions laud their endless praise. One holds a flower canopy on high, as the gods scatter flowers from the sky. They circle round and form a dancing ring, alternate of the moon and Krishna sing. Sometimes the dancers measure back their pace, and then their steps with clashing sticks retrace. Ta-dik, 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 the clay drums roll, the fortune of Radhika to extol. Thus, having spent some portion of the night in loving ecstasy and vast delight, Radha and Krishna wander through the wood. Then with their friends they enter in the flood of Kalindi, whose sable waters glow, wherein blue lilies in dense clusters grow. Thus having sported in the holy stream, whose lapping ripples in the moonlight gleam, they mount the bank and then prepare to dine on sweet confections and strong honey wine, which redoubles their amorous desire, whence to a leafy bower they retire. The periods 8 are wonderful to hear, like pouring nectar sweet into the ear, and fit for contemplation in the mind, by sedulous discipline well refined. The aspirant, according to the time, will contemplate Gauranga's acts divine, and remember Radha and Krishna's deeds, while telling Hari's name on counting beads. Thereupon the aspirant devotee will chant with counting the name of Hari, and little by little as he proceeds, he shall practice remembrance of his deeds, both Gaura and Govinda's exploits too, according to sequence he shall pursue, and then by such contemplation refined, divine service shall render in the mind. And thus ends the summary of Sri Gaura Govinda Lila Amrita. Hare Krishna.